Let me check with Kevin on his end. I have to see something. Did you take the candy? Be careful because people maybe will hear us too. What candy? What candy?
The candy from the conference.
Hold on, let me mute this.
What? Did I see you walk? She got movement to profanity.
Lost in this contract. I'm awesome.
Okay, it should whenever you start. Let's record it.
I can see a recording. So do I have to do anything else? Good afternoon. I am Ms. Paula Borden. I serve as the Associate Director and College Outreach Coordinator for the North Carolina Health Careers Access Program, as well as the Associate Director for the Carolina Higher Education Opportunity Programs Office, which is based at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Before I provide you an overview of the S.E.P program, I would first just like to welcome you to this information session and to thank you so very much for your interest in the Science Enrichment Preparation Program, also known as S.E.P. Before I kind of transition into an overview of S.E.P, I also would like to provide you a background with regards to our office and the nature of the work that we do. S.E.P is a part of the North Carolina Health Careers Access Program, again, which is a part of the Carolina Higher Education Opportunity Programs Office, also known as CHEOP. The CHEOP office is comprised of 3 programs. One is the Ronald E. McNair Scholars Program, which is about preparing underrepresented students, first generation and low income students to earn PhDs. And we do that in a number of ways, but that program is really focused on research for students, again, who are interested in the PhD pathway. We also have the Upward Bound program, which is a pre-college program that is designed specifically for high school students and helping them to gain access into higher education. So we help to prepare students for successful admission into a college or university. And again, that is a focus specifically on high school students. And we also have the North Carolina Health Careers Access Program. And the mission of the NCHCAP office is to increase the number of first generation underrepresented minority students. And when I say an underrepresented minority student, that is a student who might be, in terms of their ethnic background, African American, Hispanic, or Native American. So we support those students as well as a student who may come from a rural part of the state of North Carolina, or they may be, again, a first generation student. And our mission is to increase our representation in the health professions. One of our signature programs is the S.E.P program. But I would just like for everyone to know that if S.E.P may not be a good choice for you, that our office is always open to helping you in other ways. So I also do provide academic counseling as well as career counseling for students. So again, if S.E.P may not be a good fit for you, please know that our doors are always open to you in providing support. So again, that's just a little bit of the lay of the land with regards to NCHCAP and the mission and the vision of our office. And now I'll just take a brief moment to transition to our PowerPoint presentation. Again, thank you. Okay. Okay. So let me just try to make this a little bit larger for you so that everybody can see the full, okay, the full presentation. Okay. Just one moment, please. Let's see. I just want to make sure they see this on the first one. Okay, so what I'll do is start with preparation, and I'd just like to talk to everyone with regards to the importance of preparing for successful admission into a health professional program. In addition to directing the S.E.P program, I also have the opportunity to sit and collaborate with a number of health science schools here at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. When I say that, I mean that to let you know that preparing for the competitive edge takes a lot of time and commitment, and S.E.P truly is a program that will help you in order to do that. Whether S.E.P is a good fit for you or not, it's important for you to think about how you can make your academic profile as strong as possible. And though you may be performing successfully at your respective institutions, you need to be thinking about things that you can do outside of the traditional classroom in order to prepare yourself. And that is the part of the purpose of S.E.P. One thing I'd like to talk to you too before I transition more so into the presentation is if you have questions, you will have an opportunity to share those. You can just kind of type in your questions and I will answer those at the end of the presentation. So just know any questions that come along the way throughout the presentation, please be sure to share that. And at the conclusion of the presentation itself, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. But again, whether S.E.P is for you or not, it's very important for you to think about how you can gain that competitive edge for successful admission into health professional schools, because there are lots of students who are bright and talented, such as yourselves, but you need to be doing summer programs because they truly help you to be well prepared, and they're considered to be pipeline programs. And pipeline programs are truly designed to help students be able to matriculate successfully into health science school programs, whether it's medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, or of the like. So this is just a picture here in terms of some of the previous cohort that we had. One thing in the S.E.P program is that in addition to helping you to have that competitive edge, we very much pride ourselves on a community feel and a family feel. So all the students who were selected for the S.E.P class of 2015 will be in class together. You live together in the same residence hall. You will receive standardized test preparation together, because we all want you to work together as a team and as a family to successfully navigate the program. So this is just an example with regards to the students being in the classroom at the same time. So with regards to the course load, there are 4 core courses that are offered during the S.E.P program. Those courses are human physiology, organic chemistry, physics, and the biostatistics quantitative skills course. We offer those courses because oftentimes for undergraduate students, those are considered to be gatekeeping courses. These are courses that, in other words, these are courses that students, sometimes they do not perform successfully in. So we offer these courses to you, ideally so that you will, again, successfully be able to navigate through the harder level sciences as you matriculate through your undergraduate studies. So those are the 4 courses that you must take. Sometimes students will ask me, well, I've taken human physiology, but I have not taken physics. Do I have to take human physiology? The answer is yes. During your experience here in the S.E.P program, you are required to take all 4 courses. You will be quizzed and tested just like you would be in summer school. In other words, students will receive an A through a F in terms of your overall performance in each one of those courses. At the end of the program, students receive an academic transcript from the S.E.P program, and that will reflect how you did in each one of those courses. And in addition, what we do is we rank our students. So for example, if we accepted a cohort of, and I'm just throwing this out as an example, of 50 students for the S.E.P class of 2015, at the end of the program, you will receive a transcript where you're able to see how you performed academically in each one of those courses. And in addition to that, you will be able to see how you ranked overall in the program amongst your peers. One of the beautiful and one of the benefits to S.E.P is that that transcript may be forwarded to any health professional program that you apply in the United States. So for example, if you plan to apply to medical school, when it's time for you to apply, you would contact our office. Ideally, we've been in contact the entire time in terms of how you continue to do at your respective institution. You'd say, hey, Ms. Borden, I'm in the process of applying. Would you please write me a letter of recommendation? Ideally, I would say yes for a student. And that transcript would be uploaded to AMCAS and literally be distributed to every medical school program that you apply in the United States. Now, I threw medicine out as an example, but that certainly is applicable to any health professional program that you plan to apply in the United States. So that's one of the benefits of the S.E.P program, is that admissions committee members will be able to see not only how you're doing at your respective institutions, but they will be able to see how you performed overall in S.E.P. And again, early in the presentation, I talked about the importance for developing that competitive edge, and you can see how your performance in S.E.P truly can serve as a springboard in helping you to do that, and even springboard you to the next level in terms of competitive admission into a health professional program. Okay, so let's transition to the next bullet points in terms of PhD faculty who care about students and their mastery of the material. S.E.P very much prides ourselves on being a family-oriented program. That means everyone that we hire, from the faculty who teach the courses, who all do have their PhDs, to our teaching assistants, are very committed to your progression and your successful performance in the program, and we will do our very best to support students. But we do pride ourselves on letting people know that we certainly have very well-credentialed faculty, and many of our faculty have worked with S.E.P scholars over a number of years now, which is outstanding for our students. We also have what we call program assistants. Program assistants are very similar to the way that you think of as teaching assistants, TAs, but we call them PAs because we have them do other things outside the classroom. But we have program assistants that are assigned to every course, and they can help to provide group tutoring. They can also help to provide one-on-one tutoring for students, and they also serve as mentors. And many of our program assistants are S.E.P alumni, so they truly understand the program from beginning to end, and they truly have sat in the seat that you will ideally be sitting in with regards to knowing what the S.E.P experience is all about. So again, when we talk about academic support, you have well-credentialed faculty who are committed to your success. We also have program assistants who are former S.E.P students, participants, and they can provide tutoring, whether it be in a group setting or whether it be one-on-one. So let's talk about, again, a little touch on that academic support. When you participate in S.E.P, one of the areas of focus that we want to work on with students is improving your reading speed, note-taking, test-taking, and study skills. Why is that important? When you sit and you take the MCAT or any standardized test, it's important for you to be able to read the questions and be very succinct in your responses because you know that you're being timed. So part of the purpose of S.E.P is to help you to improve your test taking, your time management skills, and your overall reading speed and comprehension. How do we do that? We do that through a partnership with Princeton Review. So this summer, we'll be working with their staff, and their staff will work with all S.E.P scholars to gain exposure to the different tests that you would take. Now, S.E.P students they have very different health career interests. Some are interested in medicine, physician assistant, nursing, pharmacy, public health, veterinary medicine. There truly is a lot of diversity with regards to where your specific area of interest may be. So what we do is we have Princeton Review work with students holistically, so all together during the beginning of the program, just to talk about some kind of basic test-taking strategies to have under your belt. But then what we will do is divide you based on the specific test that you plan to take. So if you're interested, for example, in becoming a physician assistant, or let's say a nurse, for example, or a physical therapist, then you would be assigned to the GRE group. If you plan to apply to medical school, all the MCAT folks will be together. The same thing for the DAT for those that are interested in dentistry, and the PCAP for those interested in pharmacy. Now, you'll see on the slide that, I have noted 4 specific tests, but please know that we are able to provide other tests depending on what your health career interests may be. So for example, if you're interested in optometry, then you would take the OAT. So we don't have all the different tests listed here, but certainly Princeton Review can certainly provide support and exposure if you're interested in a test that is not stated on your screen before you. Another complement to the program is one-on-one career, academic, and admissions counseling from NCHCAP staff. Again, a number of our staff do sit on health professional admissions committees, so we know what health science schools are looking for in students, and we like to advise students and help them to prepare to have that competitive edge for admission into a health professional school. How do we do that? Well, we do that through academic counseling, so we'll look at your institution's transcripts and say, hey, this looks good, or these are some areas that you might need to work on. In addition to that one-on-one advisement, we also talk about careers that you're interested in. So, for example, if you pursue a career in physician assistant, what are maybe some of the different tracks that you could pursue as well? So any questions with regards to career advisement, we would be able to assist you with. And just in general, how to prepare for successful admission into a health professional school. And we care about you as a person. So that personal advisement is available to you as well. Just in terms of getting to know you as an individual and really supporting you to the best of our abilities. So counseling and advisement is another complement to the S.E.P experience. Exposure. This is another key factor to the S.E.P program, because although we are an academic program, and I always like to make that very clear to students, that this is an academic experience that you would be participating in, exposure is a complement to your S.E.P experience. For example, you'll see the young man and the young woman in the picture here. They're able to shadow a dentist to learn more about the day-to-day kind of experience of the dentist. And the dentist, actually, the gentleman to the right, he is an S.E.P alum. That's Dr. Vincent Allison. He graduated from Morehouse for undergrad, and he graduated from UNC School of Dentistry with regards to his dental school, his dental credentials, and students shadow him every year. So shadowing is a major component to the S.E.P experience. During S.E.P, you will have a chance to tour all the health science schools at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. For example, we have a school of medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, a school of public health, a school of nursing, Department of Allied Health Sciences, and a school of social work. You will also tour Duke University School of Medicine. Duke is not very far from here, and again, it's additional exposure in terms of being able to visit institutions not just here at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. We have our students visit the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, also known as NIEHS, and that's an opportunity for you to learn about research. A number of S.E.P scholars are interested in research and how to get their foot in the door. So your participation will also talk to you about how you can gain more exposure to research. And that's a great tour as well that I'm sure that you would enjoy. And we also take our students to NC State's universities, their College of Veterinary Medicine. Because remember, with healthcare, there are different populations that you serve, which also includes animal health. That's a very important healthcare service to be able to provide. So you'll have a chance to tour their facility, and every now and then we're even able to see a surgery or two, which is a lot of fun. So again, S.E.P is all about providing exposure, whether you know the health professional pathway that you want to pursue, or whether it's still in question, that's okay. You're going to get great exposure, and if you know what you want to do from the very beginning of the program, we'll try to get you some additional exposures to that area of health. You'll see on the second bullet, hands-on workshops, including pharmacy compounding and patient simulations. So many of the schools that you tour will try to actively engage you so that you're not just listening to a lecture, but you're able to do some hands-on activities, which is a lot of fun. And we also have seminars which take place in the classroom, in which we invite researchers, healthcare experts, and admissions counselors to come into the classroom and to speak to S.E.P scholars about what they do, how to have the competitive edge, the admissions process, and what it's like to be in that profession. So for example, we have a number of students who are interested in becoming physician assistants. At the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, we do not have a PA program for individuals who are not veterans. So what we do is we have Duke University Physician Assistant Program come in and talk to the students. That's Mr. Lovis Alexander, and he speaks with students about the profession and also the admissions process, because he sits on the admissions committee. Shadowing. So I talked to you previously about seminars and tours, but shadowing is another component to S.E.P. So when you apply to the program, you will have an opportunity to indicate what your health profession of interest may be. And what we'll do on the application is ask you, what are your top 3? And during your S.E.P experience, we will do our very best to have you shadow in those areas of interest. Now, our first and foremost priority is to make sure that you have a chance to do your first choice. So I just want to put that out there, but we will try to provide you as much exposure as possible. But it's very important, because shadowing takes so much time, that you do list on your application specifically what your area of interest may be, or your top areas of interest. But during your time in the S.E.P program, during your participation, you will have the opportunity to shadow healthcare professionals, to learn more about the profession itself, to ask them questions, and again, to gain more insight in terms of what that profession is all about. In addition to that, exploring careers and having the opportunity to network with admissions officers from health professions or health programs all across the United States, and that's via the Larry D. Keith Health Professions Recruitment Fair. Every summer, we have our S.E.P. scholars participate in the recruitment fair, and at that fair, there are literally recruiters from all across the state of North Carolina who are intentional about recruiting you. They're very aware that S.E.P. scholars are competitive and they're well-rounded students. So this is an opportunity for you to be able to network with them, if there's certain schools on your radar, ideally to be able to introduce yourself and plant the seed for when you plan to apply. But also for some of you, there may be schools and institutions that you're not familiar with. So this will be a great introduction for you to learn about other university programs from around the country. So what are some of the perks? What are some of the benefits of S.E.P? So I've talked to you about some of the academic component. I've talked to you about the seminars and the tours, but I also want you to know that this is meant to be a fun opportunity for you as well. So because the scholars live together and you're in class together and oftentimes you study together via groups, you get to know each other very well. And it's about having fun. We want you to come into the S.E.P. experience and to get to know one another, because ideally these may be people that you might be able to work with, for example, in the future. So it's all about building a sense of community, and though you might study hard, we want you to also put in time and effort towards having a good time and getting to know one another. Other benefits of the program, we provide a competitive stipend, and that will help to cover some of your program and ideally maybe some of your travel expenses. A competitive stipend truly is intended to provide your meals. So when you participate in the S.E.P. program, we do not provide you a meal plan, but the stipend that you receive is built in to cover 3 meals a day. In addition to that, for all the tours and the seminars, you have to wear business casual attire. So if you do not have those things, and when I say business casual attire, nice dress slacks or a skirt of that nature, shirt and tie for the young men. If you don't have, a blouse and certain things like that, you can take some of those expenses and use that out of your stipend, and that way it's not coming out of your personal financial expenses. With the travel expenses, that is something that's based on our budget. So at this time, I can't guarantee if we will be able to do that. But again, you will receive a stipend that will help to offset your meals, as well as miscellaneous expenses. Housing is provided free of charge for S.E.P. students, so you don't need to worry about finding, securing apartment living or housing on your own. We will provide you free on-campus housing here at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Parking, again, that depends on our budget and what we're able to do. In the past, we have provided free parking. I cannot promise that for this year, but if we don't provide it, we could certainly connect you to the public safety office and help to secure you a parking permit. And that way, if you have a vehicle, there's no problems with regards to bringing that with you during the summer. And finally, we help to provide textbooks, organic chemistry sets, scientific calculators, anything that you would need for your coursework is provided to you or loaned to you during your S.E.P. experience. So, you don't have to worry about bringing any of those materials independently. We'll provide them for you. So what are we looking for in students? So I touched on earlier building friendships with other students who have similar dreams and aspirations. I touched on that earlier. We want you to have fun and take a break. We have a fun volleyball tournament every year. And we also participate in the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. We have our students volunteer for that every summer, and that's certainly a way to give back to the community, and they'll volunteer and help with the organization of the race itself. Program eligibility. So this is a key aspect to pay very close attention to. When you apply to S.E.P, you need to be a rising sophomore or junior. That means currently, if you are a freshman or if you are a sophomore, based on that status right there, that's part of the criteria from the program. If you are a junior, you may still apply to the program, but please understand that we do give preference, admissions preference for sophomores and juniors. You must have at least 3 hours of exposure to chemistry, biology, and any college level math. 3 hours of exposure. If you don't have that by the fall semester, that's okay. You just must have that level of exposure by the time that you come to Carolina. So ideally, if you haven't taken chemistry, for example, during the fall, if you're registered in the spring, then you should be fine. And you can see in the parentheses that AP credit is accepted by our program. And a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. The average GPA from summer to summer typically is about a 3.4, 3.5. But if you have a 3.0 science or overall GPA, you've met the minimum criteria for the program. If you've been a strong student and your GPA has lessened, but it is due to a major life event, then I still encourage you to apply to the program, but you need to provide an attachment to your admissions application to talk about what that hardship might be. And I'm just going to give an example, is that, for example, if a student were to lose a parent, say a parent were to pass or something of that extent, we would need to know that so that we could be sensitive to that with regards to the admissions process. And you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident of the United States. Dates. The application is now posted, so you can go online and apply to the S.E.P program, as soon as you would like. The application will close on March 1st, 2015 at midnight. It will close at midnight, so it's important for you to have all your materials submitted by then. However, please note that S.E.P students are accepted on a rolling admissions basis. What does that mean? Rolling admissions means that the sooner that you apply to the program, the more likely you are to secure a seat in S.E.P. If you wait until the March 1 deadline, we will have some seats open, but the majority of the class will have been identified. So the earlier that you apply to S.E.P, the better. So I encourage you, if this sounds like a program that truly is a good fit for you, that you go ahead and start the application process during winter break. And the program dates you can see as well are May the 16th through July the 10th of 2015. So hopefully this has been helpful to you in terms of gaining insight into the S.E.P program. What we'll do is take a very brief break, and then I will begin to answer your questions. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. So what I will do is, I have a colleague, Ms. Hughes, who's here in the office. She's going to read the question to me, and then I will answer it. And if you have more questions that develop along during this presentation, please don't hesitate to ask additional questions.
Okay, so the first question is, do grades transfer to colleges?
Okay, so just in case you didn't hear that, the first question is basically, do you receive academic credit for your participation in S.E.P? That really depends on the institution for which you are enrolled. What you can do if you'd like to find out more information is you can contact me directly via email, and I can provide you a breakdown of what is covered in each course and how many hours that you would receive of exposure to each one of the 4 courses that I talked about earlier in the presentation. And you can share that with your registrar's office and ask them. Some schools have given academic credit to students, others have not. What I do like to say is, if your school does not provide you academic credit, I want you to think about the big picture of your participation in S.E.P. When I say participation, that means if you have not taken these courses before, think about the advantage that you have in taking physics, for example, or organic chemistry before you have to take it at your respective institution. During S.E.P, you're going to be exposed to these courses. So part of the goal of our program is that you return to your home institution and you are prepared to be successful because you've been quizzed and you've been tested in each one of those courses. If you've taken those courses before and you did not perform to the level that you would have liked to, I also want you to think about how S.E.P can help to supplement maybe any deficiencies that you had at your home institution. So if you did not do as well in any of the courses that are offered during S.E.P, then this program helps to provide you a platform to demonstrate improvement to an admissions committee. So it really is twofold. I hope that helped to answer the first question. The next question?
How do we increase our chances to be recruited in the recruitment fair?
Okay. So how do you
Increase your chance of being recruited at the recruitment fair.
Okay, so I touched on earlier the competitive edge. Prior to participating in the recruitment fair, the S.E.P team will meet with you and we will talk about pointers in which you can really help to stand out. But part of it are things that you can do right now. If you don't have a resume, for example, you need to go ahead and put one together. And then when you participate in S.E.P, we'll take a look at that and see if it needs to be tightened up at all. If it does, then we can help you with that. But a lot of it in terms of being competitive is having a very strong resume. Part of it is how you come across in terms of your attire and the way that you communicate with people. And doing your research on the institutions. So for example, if there's some schools that you know, prior to participating in the recruitment fair, you'll see a list of the schools. If there's certain schools that you know that you plan to apply to, then you need to do your research. And that really helps the admissions people, their recruitment people, to see that you've done your homework. But again, by participating in S.E.P, we will have time that's dedicated to helping you prepare for the recruitment fair. But great question.
So the next question is it possible to get the link to this present?
Yes, it is. So if you would like to have a copy of this presentation, I would be more than happy to do that, and I can email that to you. So you could just contact me directly and we'll send that to you.
So the next question is, are we supposed to incorporate our calculus grade in our science GPA?
Your science GPA will consist of your science courses as well as, yes, your math courses. So you can combine that, yes. That would be acceptable.
Next question, what are ways to make our application competitive?
That's a great question. What are ways to make your application competitive? Part of it is just making sure that A, you complete your application in its entirety. B is to write a very strong and make sure that you spend time on your personal statement. Your personal statement, and let me just preface by saying this, we have a lot of students who apply to S.E.P every summer. So one thing you have to keep in mind is that for most of our applicants, we don't know them personally. So your personal statement is the window or the lens in which we get to know you. So it's important that you really take the time to write a sound and very thoughtful personal statement. And I certainly encourage students to have your professors review it or an advisor review it as well, so that you're able to get different editorial comments from them. But having a competitive application is all about taking the time to have a thoughtful and well-written personal statement. In addition to that, letters of recommendation, they are weighted very heavily in the admissions process. Therefore, it's important that you ask people who can truly talk about who you are as a young man or a young woman and your commitment to healthcare, and they can touch on how you performed in each one of their classes. Or if they're not a professor, they can talk about you as an individual and your passion for the profession. So to answer your question, in addition to the personal statement, making sure that you ask people who truly know you and can provide a great and a positive perspective on who you are as an individual.
Okay. So the next question is, can you specify what classes make up your science GPA?
The classes that make up your science GPA are any science course that you have taken or courses that you've taken at your institution or any other institution, as well as your math scores. So your science GPA are your science courses and your math, and we'll look at that, and then we'll also look at your overall GPA as well. And when you begin the application process, we prompt you for that. We'll ask you what's your overall GPA, and then we'll ask you specifically what is your science GPA. So what you'll need to do is to average your science and your math scores.
Okay. So the next question is, what are some of the outcomes of past participants in S.E.P?
So the question is, what are some of the
Past outcomes.
past outcomes of S.E.P scholars, participants? So one thing that we really pride ourselves on is, and I encourage you to look at our website if you have not to date, but S.E.P has a very strong success rate. We have over, I would say, about 90% of our alumni who continue along the pipeline. And when I say continue along the pipeline, that means that as an undergraduate student, they still continue to perform well at their respective institutions. They are successfully admitted into health professional schools and ultimately matriculate into practicing in the profession itself. Any program that you apply to, you always want to see a positive success rate, whether it's S.E.P or another program. And we very much pride ourselves on accepting students who are highly motivated, highly driven, and really continue and are committed to becoming healthcare professionals. So our alumni do very well. And I would always encourage you, you can contact me if you'd like to speak to any of our alumni. I am more than happy to connect you to them, and that way you can ask them about their experience in S.E.P. So just know that that's another way to glean into the program, that if you'd like to speak to any of our alumni, I'd be more than happy to connect you to them.
Okay. So the next question is, the application says 2 science teachers. Can we include math teachers as well?
Okay, great question. So the answer to that question is no. With regards to, let me take that back. What we require, you'll see when you start the S.E.P application, is we require two things with regards to recommendations. The first one is faculty appraisal forms. You are required to have 2 science faculty members complete your faculty appraisal forms. So those forms must be completed by science faculty. That's a requirement. The second kind of way that we glean into learning more about who you are is through a letter of recommendation. Now, the letter of recommendation may be written by anyone who knows you well, of course, with the exception of a family member. So that letter of recommendation could be written by a math teacher or a math professor, but it could also be written by someone who's a mentor to you or someone that you shadowed, or it could be your employer. So it's really up to you in terms of who that person is. But there's no wiggle room in terms of the faculty appraisal forms. Those must be completed by science faculty. And again, we require 2 of those. One thing that I just would like to add as well is that if you are a freshman, so if you're in your first year of undergrad, you may get some of those materials from your high school instructors. So we would allow for 1 to come from your high school. So just keep that in mind as well. So I will conclude here. Those were all the questions, and they were very great questions. I want to thank you again for your interest in the S.E.P program. If you are close by, I encourage you to contact me directly if you'd like to schedule an appointment. I'd love to get to know you and hear more about your interest in the S.E.P program. If you're not, feel free to send me an email with additional questions if they come up, or give me a call if I might be able to provide assistance to you. Just so you know, again, my name is Ms. Borden. I serve as the director for the S.E.P program, and my contact information is as follows. My telephone number is 919-966-2264. And I may also be reached by email at P as in Paula, B as in boy, OR, D as in dog, EN @email.unc.edu. So certainly that you can contact me with either one of those platforms with regards to future questions, or if you'd like to meet one-on-one, you can contact me that way, and certainly we'll be able to connect as well. But again, thank you so much for your interest in the S.E.P program, and I wish you all the very best in all that you do, and a happy holiday. Thank you.